Hey, how's it going? I feel so serious right now. Just kidding. I don't know. I mean, I don't at all feel serious. Um, Today, I saw a video that was talking about some of the energies coming in to help us Earthlings more easily transition during this period. Not become transsexuals, just like help us survive the transitioning period. So, where there's still like a pretty large contingent of us that want to live in the world that we have been living in. We've been there, where it's like violent. Well, everything is just still going on. And, like, the world I grew up in has always been kind of angry, but now it's like really pissed off. But I feel like it's pissed off at itself, and it doesn't even really realize it, if that makes any sense. Because we're fighting each other and believing stuff that just because somebody we think we like told us we'll believe that, whether it's true or not, without even bothering to find out if it's true or not. And sometimes it's not true. And so you've sort of become an accessory to, whatever this person that you just decided to put all your faith in is telling you and doing to you, and having you accept it when it's not great. It's not good for you. It's just I was gonna say it's just a feeling I have, but it's not. It's not just my feeling. Also, have a look at my signs, please, if you would. I have a Mary Magdalene card, and before I read that, I want to talk about how I decided to watch. Come on, brain, don't do it now. Bruce Willis, Brad Pitt, 12 Monkeys. I've been looking at it off and on all day. You think I could retain that? But that's, I don't know. Oh, so I was watching something this morning. Let me just whip all over the place. I was watching something this morning that was talking about the energies coming in. Oh, I did say it. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, let's talk about 12 Monkeys. I just started watching it because I like it, but the synchronicities are coming in so strong and so fast and in so many different ways and places that I know I'm not catching them all. So I put it on just because I enjoy the movie. I've seen it many times. There's some that I just always watch, like Silence of the Lambs or any of the Alien movies or LA Confidential. Like, I have my favorites, and if they come on, I always watch them. Fifth Element, seen it a million times. I'll just watch it again. I don't care. Even if I can only watch the part with the blue lady singing. But I like the whole thing as a piece. It has so much going on, so much embedded in it that, God, it's like, okay, no, sorry, I'm getting all sidetracked again. Oh my goodness. So anyway, I start watching it, and then I realize that it's having some parallels with what I feel like is happening right now. There's a part in it, again with the signs, beware of spoilers. I'll probably do that. It's not a new movie. So the ones that didn't come back, Bob, in the very beginning, there's like a lot of crosstalk, and it definitely, I think, especially if you're not into sci-fi, it requires a couple of watches before you catch all of this stuff. I don't know why I never made this connection before today, although I guess I did, because the one, like, bum, I'm gonna call him, because that's what we used to call the homeless people, and that's wrong, because, like, even that guy, it did not end up on the streets by choice, but, so he's one of the ones that didn't come back, and they referenced this a couple of times, I think, just in the dialogue that's pretty fast, so it's not difficult to miss things. And they just kind of flash right past the ones, ow, who whistled so hard, or whatever, that hurt. Flash past that dialogue, and it was that something along the lines of, they're the ones that didn't come back, or one of the ones that didn't come back. And it's just in like such a rush of words and things happening that I didn't miss it exactly, but I didn't miss like the plurality of them. Like, I knew the bum guy that calls everybody Bob, and then is also, I guess, the voice that he hears right before the scientists and politicians move him in time, because they can just grab him out like whenever, you know, and so and bring him back. Like, okay, I'm not going to explain what that means. I'll leave something to the imagination or to the movie. So like, that was something, and then I started thinking about us as like the people. Some of us like went and didn't come back. And I thought, like, today, for the first time, I guess, when I made the connection that it wasn't just that one guy, it was like others, because they said it. I just kind of thought, oh, like, they died, you know, and no, they didn't. They're like the crazy homeless street people, and they're the ones that would, like, walk up and just know, you're one of us. Like, I can't believe I didn't catch all of that before. And I know it's there. Sorry. I don't mean to yell. Okay, and so the next thing was, his mind can't process both of the worlds he's entangled in. So I have mentioned, and I will probably going forward quite often, that I watch the GFL station. God, stop whistling. That literally is like piercing my inner ear. Galactic Federation station, and then their sibling station, Chosen Chronicles. You can tell they're like the same people doing stuff. I don't know why there's two channels. They're dang similar. I can't really tell the difference, but it seems like the GFL station one is like the primary. Anyway, I was watching one of those, and they were talking about how currently, this is like so big, and it's just amazing to me that so many people are just completely unaware and yet are also participating. It's very textured. It's very complex. But what was I talking about? Good thing I wrote it down. I don't know if I need to smoke more or less. All right. His mind can't process properly because he's got a foot in each world that he's like bouncing back and forth from. Oh my God. Okay, so for weeks I've had this image in my mind of the star card, but the star card is the figure on the card is divided, and I feel like it's our world right now. And so I wanted to draw it on there, and it was like, the one side of the figure on the star has like a foot in the water, and so that side, the hair was like all sticking straight up off of their head like electric shock, and they had big crazy looking eyes like like they've seen some shit, and they're just bedraggled. I think on a lot of those cards the figure is naked, but I think there's also some where they're wearing like a toga or something like that. Anyway, I saw like the person in the toga, and that was like just all, they looked like Pigpen from Peanuts comic strip from the newspaper. Remember those? Oh wow. So and then the other side of the person, because they're in half like Jekyll and Hyde, and the other half of the figure is just normal, like bland person, and it's just standing, and it's got the container of water and it's pouring. It's just like the normal star card in the tarot. I guess I didn't mention that. For those of you who don't know, there's a card called the star card in the tarot. Should I show it to you? Yes. Hold on. Okay, so I just got my booklet, and please don't ding me. There's no nipples. This star card person is not standing, and they're not clothed. So quick look. So imagine that person standing, and then half of them is just like bland person at the edge of the water doing their thing. I'm trying to obscure the boobies, and everything's like okay, but in my vision their hair is parted in the middle, and half of it is, like I said, sticking up like electric shock, and the face looks shocked too, and they're a mess. They're dirty, like they've been through I don't know, like a dirt tumbler. I don't know. And I really just felt like it was a signifier of the times, or of like the general sort of mental condition of us all, like collectively. The temperature, like half of us had a real messed up fever, and I don't mean half of our society, I mean we're all feeling it. I mean like half of us, like each of us, just my opinion, and so like some of us, I guess I'll put that away when I'm done. Some of us are handling things a little better, not freaking out as much. But as far as James Cole, the character that Bruce Willis plays in 12 Monkeys, and us with our, this is the thing that I feel is so huge that I can't believe more people don't know about. And it's like the transition from 3D to 5D and more. Looks like we've been able to achieve even higher states of higher vibration, which is great, because the more of that happens, that means that's more of us generating light, which is what you want. Because you can't really have darkness if all the lights are on, and if everybody's a light everywhere, it's going to be hard for darkness to dark. Illumination is disclosure. Take it any way you want to take it. So James, though, he came from well, it's a time travel story. I'm just going to tell you that. So he came from his own beginnings. The story is a loop, and it's tragic because it just loops. That's all it'll do. But they have so many realizations. James, and then Dr. Rayleigh, who, ends up in his loop with him, and then is like, at first she's a victim, and then she becomes a participant because the light bulb goes off, and what's really happening is illuminated to her, and she already is in the loop of the time loop thing that I'm talking about before she meets him, and it's so much like how humanity wakes up like with amnesia and then gets to the point, lots of points along the way, but the goal is to remember who you were before you forgot stuff, and that is like a whole other world that it unlocks in so many ways. Not gonna try to explain that. You just, if you're curious about what I'm talking about, I don't know what's going on the other side of the screen. I don't know who's watching, what you know. But I always give keywords. Like if I'm telling my stories, there's things in there you could just like search it and you will find your way. It's like that. Like if you know what you're looking for, or even if you don't, part of you does, you'll seek out what you need to know. That's just one of those marvelous things about this whole awakening business and remembering and seeing the light. So, but he has like a cognitive dissonance, he has like vague flashes and dreams that are he's so detached from, because they are from like his childhood, and then like the world changed, and then like maybe he had a psychotic break. Like they don't talk about this in the movie, or maybe they do and I just missed it in the rush of dialogue, but I gotta turn off the coffee maker. Hold on. He wakes up, or we first see him in the movie, stub my toe, in the place that he refers to as the present, where he's in some kind of like mental institution, government lab, like there's some kind of captivity testing on subject situation happening there. It's so happening. It is so happening. What's happening? Sorry. Not sorry. You're just gonna have to get used to it. But they want him to go on a mission in another time that is the past. Like they're trying to they know they can't stop what's happening in the time loop, but they just want information about as much as they can find out, because there was like an extinction event, and I mean, it's not just that he was in this weird like institution, it's also that everyone is kind of trapped because they fear going to the surface. Like in Fallout, they don't really understand that, like, oh, after all this time when basically all of the human bacteria are wiped out, all of the troublemakers, everything is able to like go back to nature, which I don't want the destruction, but I think we need to go as back to nature as we possibly can. And so, after being in that other place that's so terrible, he wants to be in the past where there's fresh air and you can see the sun. And today, like, I didn't really realize that James Cole and that whole thing where he came from, the institution, was like subterranean, underground. What the heck was I paying attention to all of the times over the years that I have seen that movie? I can't believe I've missed so much. But I'm also seeing things that I'm making a parallel to, like the being of two minds and not quite being able to stitch it together. And in his reality, it just is what it is. Like I said, they cannot change the loop. In mine, lots can change. I can change my mind, and then my mind in combination, in concert with a whole bunch of other minds, like billions and billions, millions and millions of minds together can create like a whole other world. And that is the reality. And I know that sounds kooky, but when you know a few things, like really, I'm no sorceress. I haven't studied everything there is to know about the spirituality thing. I just have like instinctive stuff, but I think that's because I may have been here and I may have done it before. So people can relate and do well in ever-escalating, stressful, and anxiety-creating situations. And it takes some work, and today I was thinking, like, there are certain things that have happened in my life that when you watch the spiritual channels, they'll be like, well, the reason why you've just been on your own forever and you haven't been able to have like a relationship, if that's what you want, which it is because, not because you're like a horrible, terrible person, thank goodness, because I kind of don't want to be that. It seems like it would run people off more, right? But it was like the disappointments and the betrayals and the cheating and the lying, like everything was meant to steal you and gird your will to be ready for a time like now, when you have to be able to tell, like, that's a betrayal or that person's full of shit. And you don't get that all if you get like the happy, romantic relationship you wanted. Like, that's for some people, but apparently that is not part of my mission. So mine is going a different way, and I'm finally beginning to reconcile with that. I don't know if I 100% agree with it. I had to be alone forever. Like, I didn't really enjoy that. Anyway, I'm able to process it better. But what's happening, I guess, right now is because everybody's everybody on Earth is at a different level of consciousness for reasons. Many of them, I'm not going to, try to explain all that, or we'll be here all night. What's happening with us is that the higher consciousness people are able to maintain a higher vibration because that is what they now know needs to be done, and they know that they can do it. It's not that anyone's better than anyone else. It's just that when you're kind of like unaware or uneducated or uninitiated to this stuff, you have to get there. Like, there is a process, like, it's very rare for someone to just become, like, learn of these things and just, like, take to it immediately. Like, with any practice, with any discipline, you have to practice to be any good at it. Like, it's a development thing. It's a cycle. It's like everything else in our world, in our life. It has a start, a middle, and a finish. And that's where, like, evolvement and stuff and education and skill building learns and happens. The things learn to happen. So, and then the really sort of destabilizing thing for James Cole and for Dr. Rayleigh is that the echoes of the past penetrate the barriers of, I know this to be the case, in their minds. And that is something we're also going to be going through. Like, I talk about things now that this is like my safe space. I swear to God, because my social platform life right now is very strange and chaotic, and it almost feels combative. Like, it's a weird thing that's going on. I'll have to talk about that soon, because it's something. But what's happening with the high vibration people, like, they know, like, all of this stuff is going on concurrently that might not be visible because it's behind the scenes, or just because it's not something everybody has their awareness focused on. Like, people just don't, they're ignorant. They just don't know about it. So, and then, you know, they have their life and all their stuff going on, and, you know, we all have to contend with it, but it's how we respond to everything makes a difference. It could be better or worse for you, depending on how you respond. And then even that takes a getting to. That's a place that takes getting to. Like it did for me, that, you know, stuff happens and your impulses just be, oh, that happened and I feel this way about it, blah. And then you have a reaction, and maybe you say and do something that you wish you didn't. You wish you hadn't done that. And ideally, what, like, the grown-up people want to do is take a moment to think better of reacting and breathe. Take a moment to breathe. Like, literally, you could just, how long does it take to take a deep breath and exhale? A couple of seconds, 2-3 times, a couple of more seconds. And in that time, you can reset from shock and, you know, possibly rage, like whatever the emotion is that's so intense that your reaction is just letting fly crazy spray. When you take a moment to think better of, you can, like, settle your mind, settle your thoughts, and not, you know, your answer is not going to be crazy person, you know? Or at least if it is crazy talk, it's calmer crazy talk. It just, everything makes everything, it lubricates situations so they can go smoother. But yeah, like I said, it is a process. There is a learning curve, and I don't even know how much attention you have to, like, really force yourself to at this point. I think we're all kind of swept up in it, and like I said, everyone is at their own rate of growth, but everyone is doing it. So it's like we're all doing the same thing, you know. It's like school. You start out with the early grades, and then you graduate to the upper levels. It's another cycle. What did I just say earlier? Everything is a dang cycle. So, but even knowing that stuff, it's like all of the stuff in the real world that everyone is like politics and, you know, worrying about money and whose sexuality is what and who loves who and the shooting thing and the Epstein thing, and it's like that's all like a bunch of clash and fury and the noise. It's like a lot of bad noise, and at some point you, and when I say you I mean me, but at some point you are just like, I want something else. I want peace. I want it to be calmer. I want to be with more people, which I usually am. I just kind of gravitate to people that I can, like, get along with, you know? And when there are people you can get along with, there's cooperative living, you know? Like, you don't want to upset the apple cart and the balance, not because you fear that, like, something terrible is going to happen, but because when things are balanced and not upset, they're kind of good. You can kind of expect what's going to happen and have it not be like a catastrophe and a big surprise. And, you know, I mean, like with the violence, wherever it is, if it's a war or if it's like in your town or if it's in another town and it scares the heck out of you, how about you have a life where you don't have that worry and you don't have the violence? Like, I have spent a lot of years in my life and I had no idea this was going to have an effect, but it's had an effect because I'm not the only one that feels this way. But I was like, are we done yet? Can we just be done with this? I mean, come on, centuries when is it enough with the violence and the everything that goes with it, the so-called fog of war, which, hi, by the way, that happens when there's no war and the fog is non-existent. People are just bound and determined to let their animal loose on other people. There, I said it. So, it is hard to know that this other more pleasant way of life exists and also be like participating in it consciously, but that happens sort of subconsciously, like on a level that, because it's not a full-on reality yet. It's a lot of people's idea, and it's got to form, and it's got to like weave together. It's got to like mesh, I guess. I mean, I think. And then at the same time, you still got to have like your ass in this other stuff where you're like, still with this. And I think the concern in the video is a lot of people sort of just kind of addicted to that old way. And it's hard to wrap your mind around the idea that you have your consciousness, your senses, in a whole other reality, but while you're living in the 3D sort of James Cole world, or our world, both. It's a mirror for us to see. And that is hard to maintain. And that plays out in the movie. And it's also, I guess it's playing out right now, because what I described is happening to all of us on some level. Okay, and so his mind can't process both of the worlds he's entangled in. Timeline 1, Earth destroyed. That's where James Cole is in the institution. That's where that happened. Earth 2 is the new Earth. That is the one that we're inventing, but for James Cole, it's the old Earth. Like the future that they moved into, he finds the past that he knows is going to mess up preferable and like compare. Well, presumably where James came from is the future. Like they say it's the future, but it looks like a mess. It looks like Brazil, that movie Brazil. If you haven't seen it, Terry Gilliam, check it out. It's applicable, it's topical to the current times, to the CE. And, well, the Earth isn't destroyed. Really, it's humanity. The Earth and the animals and everything get to take over again, like what happened in COVID. Except this is more, like, scary and stuff. Well, I don't know, maybe it's not more scary. I guess COVID was pretty scary. Similar stuff. And then, that eventually that plays out and time marches on. But, the new Earth, like we're creating in our reality, our actual real reality, that is also textured, okay? Let me just try to stick to one thing here. I just found a parallel between the new Earth that we want to create and when they had a chance to have a future, they kind of messed up because they didn't pay attention to what was damaging in the present that James went back to. And that's kind of like us in the present. We have stuff messing up, like with our climate and with contaminants and pollution and stuff that makes people sick that we are putting into our food and water supplies, and we're just doing it on purpose. And when I say we, like, I have nothing to do with it. That's not what I want, but there are entities and groups of people out there, or, you know, individuals, whatever, they get together and they want to, like, do what they want to do, and that's the result. So that's not great. That is something that we could and should be paying attention to and working to repair, but we will get to it. We'll get there. Okay, so crazy talk, but saner than you know. There is a time when James knows in his heart all of what's going on. But what happens is when he goes to the past on his mission, he starts, it like triggers or it activates his memory. So more of what happened when he was a child before he ended up in the institution in the future starts to come back to him. And he's had it in like visions and dreams. And that's been happening in our reality too, to a lot of people. Like, people, I guess, are remembering stuff that is not making sense to them. And these could very well be those people that are not like really aware of like the high vibration stuff, because that's, oh my god, all I can say, like, if I'm gonna explain all of that, not that I don't want to, but I just don't think anyone's gonna sit through it. So you can go to the GFL station channel, or the Chosen Chronicles channel, and it explains all of this stuff. And it's interesting because some of the stuff I have also said, but they say it in a completely different way, and I think that's apt, because I'm going to be accessible to certain people, and I'm not even trying to address people that don't already know about this stuff. That's something we all have to come to on our own. And I'm not saying that people can't help you. I'm just saying that this level is what I'm talking about. And I hope that, you know, people are catching on or know what I'm talking about. I hope it's making some kind of sense to people. But anyway, if you watch those videos, it's going to explain a whole lot more. It's a different format, but you can get a lot of answers, and the titles will tell you a lot of the stuff that people have questions about. And so, come on, more people, become aware of this. It's really informative, and it's going to blow your mind in the best possible way. So, crazy talk, but saner than you know. So in there, in 12 Monkeys, there's a point where James, like I said, he knows what's going on with the time loop. Dr. Rayleigh has come across it, actually, and hasn't quite put together what she has learned about she's talking about apocalyptic futures. And I hear my cat crying, I think, so we're just gonna take a little tour. She's a doctor of, like, psychiatry. So she's given a lecture on apocalyptic futures, and she doesn't realize that James's time loop is actually part of her lecture. Ooh, the light got all kooky and spooky. Oh, no. Oh, there he is. Come on. Okay. Alright, watch out, kitty. Beep, beep. I don't want to run you over. Hi. I taught him the beep, beep backup sound. Okay. So, James knows what's going on with the time loop. Dr. Rayleigh hasn't picked up on it. She hasn't picked up on the part that she's an integral part of this looping time situation. And so, and she's told James when she comes across him, because she also works at a mental institution where they take him in the past, which is her present. Oh my God. You know what I thought was the cat crying? I have music playing down here, and it's In the Light by Led Zeppelin, so it's that synthesizer part in the beginning. Wow, 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 all of that stuff. I thought it was the cat. But he was ready to come in. He came running. He didn't finish his treat. Sorry, sidetrack. So, she has told James, because when she first meets him, he gets picked up and they put him in the institution. And she thinks he's crazy. And he's like, I'm from the past. I got to find the 12 Monkeys gang. And he goes a couple of times because the time travel is not perfected. And, they can, like, send him and grab him back, but they can't be precise about when they send him. So they send him a couple of times to the wrong time. And nothing he's there to do works right. And so he looks even crazier talking about something that hasn't happened yet. And people that have not, like, converged and made a group yet. And it's... of course they are like crazy talk, and he's trying to tell him, no, I'm not crazy, this is what's gonna happen. But the present is actually like his time in a way, like the present of the past where Dr. Rayleigh is. It is his, like, it's so like time travel thing messed up. But by coming a couple of times that way, she gets to get clued into how what she's already working on that includes him inadvertently proves out the crazy talk. So he's saner than you know. And I feel like that sometimes, and I feel like, you know, the Galactic Federation people, well, I mean, they've been at this for millions of years, so they don't take stuff personally, and they must be so used to skeptics by now that it can't be bothering them. Okay, and then finally, James Cole chooses fresh air and animals. So he tries to stay in that past present, which is actually... Let me just interrupt myself to give you a small message about time. All time happens at the same time, is happening at the same time, has happened. It's all one. So just keep that in mind about this story. James got yanked out of his time, and then he's getting sent back to it. So it's like this incomplete loop. It's broken and it's weird, but it can't be changed. And I guess that's supposed to be a true thing of time travel, which I know, crazy talk, but evidently it can be done. Or not evidently, actually. I really had to like go some places to find out stuff about it. Well, a decade ago, but now it's more mainstream. So the movie, they're all seeking something, like in the past, present, Brad Pitt's character, for instance, whose name escapes me now, Jeffrey something, and his father are kind of the villains of the story. But it's hard to know who they're villains of and against, because one's going to cause the apocalyptic future and they don't mean to. And then because of the intervention of James coming and then interacting with Jeffrey, who happens to also be in the institution. And I don't want to like spoil it anymore. It's very intricate too. It's like hard. I don't know how they made it comprehensible, actually, to tell you the truth. I think you have to be of a certain mindset to be able to accept it, like to be able to accept having your mind in two places. And we're supposed to be moving on out of this old world, so it's like the video that I saw earlier, they were saying like, we really need to like make the effort to, like, the people that are aware and are keeping a high vibration, like you really have to make an effort to stay in that space. And then to also, like, you too have like barbs holding you to the 3D that we're all trying to like elevate from, and it's just time to move on. Like, people's bodies grow. Like, you can't really stop it. You can't really get in the way of it. If it's happening, it's happening. Excuse one sec. Everybody in that movie was looking for something lighter and better. Like, Jeffrey, the tycoon's son, was an animal lover. He wanted nature to prevail and not be destroyed by forces like capitalism, which his father pretty much embodied. But over the course of, like, James bopping back and forth, time, like, things could be altered slightly, because instead of the father going ahead with the invention his company has, which is what destroys the earth in a way, or destroys humanity so the earth can repair itself, pretty much. That's the message I get. He sees the light. He realizes that his son is right, and that what he wanted to do is kind of crazy, and how damaging it would be. And then he had to go through some stuff to be able to see that. But that's like life. Things don't just come easily. Information, lived experience doesn't necessarily come to you in a gift-wrapped package. It will come strange and be hard sometimes, and you won't understand what's happening, and then all of a sudden you'll have a breakthrough, and it's like, oh my god, I totally had to do that way. Like, that had to happen. There are forces that make that the case, and that is also very dense and intricate, and I'm not going to try to explain it. James wanted to be literally in the light, like above ground, in the sunlight, to see the moon. He'd never been to the ocean. It was almost like a fairy tale, like a dream, until they started, like, bumping him back and forth through time. So he wanted to stay. You remember I said about the loop. Still, always looking for something better, looking up. And those people in the institution in the future, I don't know, like, they knew they couldn't change the past. They couldn't change what had happened, but I think they were sending James on these missions on a quest for information about the kind of mechanics of what took the humanity out, like what took humanity out. And I'll just say that there was a virus involved, but I feel like it's more to do with, like, capitalism, because if everything wasn't a commodity, then we wouldn't be so fast and loose with stuff like pathogens and be selling them, or have, like, crazy talk. But everyone in their kind of messed up way, like the doctor, like, she wanted to work with the people that were insane or mentally challenged or whatever, so that they could get to, like, a better, brighter place, like a lighter place. light has all kinds of life-giving qualities and is positive in that. So the Mary card that I pulled, thinking of this movie and everything that I just talked about, says, Christ's light and love is the savior of thy soul. So, by Christ's light, she doesn't mean the light of the man Jesus. She means the Christ, which is a place you arrive at when your vibration is super high, and you can affect your reality. You can move into other timelines and dimensions without artificial means. And it is a process, and you learn. It's a way of conducting yourself, really, and being able to work as a cooperative member of a collective with the goal of increasing vibration together, and therefore raising the light quotient, which, again, dispels darkness. Like all forms, the light is there, and it'll just be like, here, this is messed up over here, we can just get rid of it, or see that it's not right and shame it out of existence, or whatever's necessary. Okay, so the next line is, become thy light in love, and no one, oops, sorry, reverse, let me try that again. Become thy light in love, and one has saved thyself. So, in the movie, eventually, both James and Dr. Rayleigh have caught on to what is going to happen, and for some moments together, they go from her being the doctor and him being like this dirty, crazy guy that they found, to they go on a journey together, and she learns that his crazy talk is saner than you think. And then she believes him, and she wants to try and help him break free of the loop. But they can't. I think I already made that clear. I don't think I'm spoiling that. But I think together, when they figure it all out together, and they're both trying to, like, escape it together, they have found love in each other. Her desire to help him, I feel like, is light-filled. And it's Christ-like, because she's really gone through some stuff with and for him, and she still wants to love and help him. She's formed a love for him. That act in itself is light-filled. Oh my God, how I'm holding my hands. I turned into Bashar. Sorry. So, okay, when they became their light in love for each other, really, they gave each other strength to go through what they knew was hard, and wasn't likely to, like, they were more likely to fail than not. And then by, like, understanding each other's situations and seeing the light and understanding, kind of the fulsomeness of the loop they're trapped in, like, I don't know how much further they would get to go with that, because the loop meets and then I guess starts to repeat again, but maybe just incrementally something changes each time. And I suppose that could be a true thing, because maybe the timeline they started out with does whatever it's going to do, but each new one, because he kept bopping back and forth, that would create new timelines, theoretically. Professor says. But theoretically, it would create new timelines, and so in each one, they're going to be slightly different. I have been talking about this on this channel about like the dimensions being so similar, we change into them all the time and we won't even really notice, because for one thing, we're not in them that long. We already have moved on to another real quick. Like, I guess that's a thing that happens. And who did I learn that from? Bashar. Not just him, but anyway, I guess I've exhausted what I have to say. Thank you and good night. If you can see 12 Monkeys, I think you should try and watch it. In fact, I don't know where all it's playing. It might just be on Tubi, but on Tubi it's free. So Tubi, check it out. It's a good movie, I think. Anyway, yeah, thank you and good night. Bye.